Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit ekes out 1 point against the Flyers as they drop their third straight.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University ACHA D1 men's hockey. And we got another loss, third straight in a row, the fourth loss in the last five. I don't know why we keep doing this to ourselves, Scotty. Last year they won 6 straight, lost 7 straight. Well, they haven't lost 7 straight this year, but the turnaround after a hot win streak just continues to sink their chances. They do get 1 point out of this game, right? We're recording this literally 5 minutes after the game ends because I got my own game to go to here in about 40 minutes. So it's going to be a little bit more raw than usual. Try to keep my composure as best as possible. Overall, Scotty, just quick thoughts. I mean, the game was a track meet. It was back and forth the entire time. Not a lot of penalties. Red Wings did outshoot the Philadelphia Flyers, but I did think it was the Flyers that had the better of the opportunities, especially towards the end of the third period when it came time to win a hockey game. The Flyers really poured it on.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird game in terms of game flow, just because they're like neither team really had consistent opportunities, as you said, until Philly there at the end very clearly did have a lot of high danger opportunities. But the opportunities that both teams really, especially like toward the end of the second period, the opportunities that both teams were getting were high danger. Like, I mean, the Wings were knocking on the door a few times. Again, this is more like kind of later second period, I guess, than a whole game. But they certainly had their opportunities and like didn't even get shots off, right? Like you had the Patrick Kane swing and miss, right? Just whiffed on a breakaway. It wasn't, I think, 2-on-1 maybe. It might have even been a 2-on-2. I don't remember.
Sanheim did get a stick on it. It was a nice defensive play coming back.
But, like, that's still, like, I mean, Kane was dropping F-bombs. Like, he knows that that's a play that he should make and has made plenty of times. Like, that's there's an open net in front of him and the puck was at his feet. Like, that, at the end of the day, that's a really frustrating situation to be in. And then you had, like, I don't know, like Elmer, who, we'll talk about that, obviously. Started off the game, had a really nice shot on net. Like, the Wings had their high danger opportunities over the course of 60. They just were not consistently applying pressure at all. A majority of this game was the Wings just entering the zone and flicking the puck at the net and hoping that led to something. And obviously it didn't lead to much. And from the Flyers' perspective, they were able to get into a lot of high danger opportunities, even though the quantity total might not have been super high. The quality of their attempts were great. I thought Lyon kind of kept us in the game, to be honest with you. And I don't know. Like, my first thought was, shocker, we can't win in Philly. Like, who would have thought? Honestly, just a lot of what you already said, just the frustration of, like, okay, now we have to, we won 7. Now we have to lose all those back. And I don't know, just, frustrating few games. We've scored 3 goals in the last 3 games.
Right. Total, not each. Total.
Correct. Total combined.
That's not enough. I mean, this is an offense that when they're, and again, we knew that the offense that they had, especially with the power play, was unsustainable and that it would come down. But you don't go from scoring 6 goals a game to scoring 1 goal a game. There has to be a happy medium, and right now they can't generate it. And Scotty, you mentioned it too, like the high danger chances were totally lopsided. This is a game where the Red Wings, through 3 periods, were shooting the puck a lot more. They had more total shots on net. The total amount of times they tried to shoot the puck, the shot attempts leaned towards the Red Wings as well. But when you look at this, the actual high danger shot attempts by period, it's all Philly. Yeah. It was 17 for the Philadelphia Flyers at 5-on-5, just 5 across 60 minutes for the Detroit Red Wings in this hockey game. That is not enough because it was more of what we were talking about over the weekend. They get the puck in the zone. All they can either do is shoot from the blue line, shoot from along the perimeter, and rim the puck along the boards to the next guy. They cannot get that puck into the high danger areas. When they shoot it from the point, it's either being blocked by the Flyers because the Flyers block the puck block the shots more than any other team in the NHL, or the rebound goes to no one because the Flyers, unlike the Red Wings, do a phenomenal job of tying up guys out front down low. There's nobody available because they're all locked up. The Flyers do a really good job of blocking those attempts and stopping the pucks from getting to high danger areas, but also the Red Wings do a very poor job of getting those pucks there. So it was just another really frustrating game where no amount of offense really happened. And I think you're 100% right. Alex Lyon, I mean, you could even name him. I don't know what our difference makers are. This is a really tough game to have difference makers in. It was a 2-1 overtime loss. But I mean, I think you can make an argument, Scotty, that Alex Lyon can be a difference maker regardless, because this game only gets to overtime because he made some very timely big saves, especially in the last 5 minutes of the third period.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I genuinely, I think he was one of, if not the best player on the ice for the Wings in this game. I think he's the biggest reason that it was even close, because the offense just didn't show up. And that's my difference maker, was just the offense's effectiveness. I know that's super broad, so it's like kind of cheating because that's, like a majority of the players on the team, but like it was brutal again. And that's, as you have said a couple of times already, that's 3 games in a row where the offensive creativity just hasn't been there. I mean, it's just enter zone, get a puck on net, and hope for the best over the last 9 periods that the Wings have played. And, well, I guess overtime period thrown in there now too. But it is baffling how ineffective it has been, not just from a production standpoint of 3 goals in 3 games is never good, but like legitimately you watch them and it is stagnant. It is completely snuffed out more times than not. And yeah, I think creativity really is the word. It just lacks any sort of high danger opportunities stemming from it. It is very few and far between that that the Wings have been getting legitimate high danger chances, and that's a problem.
I think offense is or lack thereof is a very good difference maker, Scotty. I don't think that's too broad at all, because again, we stated it the other day what the issue was with the offense. We watched it happen again, and for the 3rd straight game, they've scored 1 goal. The creativity is not there, and part of that's just like they're getting in the zone and they're forechecking hard. Like, they're doing a really good job of maintaining the puck in the offensive zone, which is not something they did with the loaned, but they just can't get that puck off of the boards. The one time they did, or at least up until like the overtime period, the one time they did, they scored. Ben Sherratt's goal. So it's just one of those things where it's like, if you want to score more goals, you got to get to the middle of the ice, and they're not able to do that right now, and that's the reason why they've lost 3. So I think it's a perfectly viable difference maker. For me, I mean, I guess I will just go with Alex Lyon, because genuinely I don't have anyone else who made a huge difference maker. I guess you could say goaltending in general. Yeah. Samuel Ersson made 24 saves, maybe, let me check, 27 saves in this game, but his goal saved above expected was .88. He faced 28 shots, and his goal saved above expected was still barely above 1. Wasn't even at 1, rather. It was just shy of 1, because he only faced 3 high-danger shots in all situations all game, and only 3 medium danger. He faced 33 low-danger shot attempts. Like, it's hard for me to look you in the eye and say Samuel Ersson was a difference maker when he didn't really get tested. All of his shots were from far out. Alex Lyon, again, I don't need to rehash the whole thing. You said it earlier. It's just he was the reason they got a point, so I think that's good enough to name him a difference maker. Yeah,
absolutely, man. I think if you're talking about the reason the Wings are walking out of here with a point, I think Alex Lyon is probably the best answer to that question. So I think it's still a fair play for sure.
All right. We're going to head to a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about notable performers, the few that there may be. So stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. The same goes for you. Having a life strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even find that you can qualify for same-day coverage up to $5 million, no medical exam required. And it's much more affordable than you think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, notable performers who in this game stood out to you for all the right or all the wrong reasons?
Well, I mean, we can start on a positive note, I guess. Like, Ben Sherratt's goal was cool. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yes.
I'm not really sure he played a stellar 60 minutes or anything like that, but he's the reason that the Wings weren't shut out and the reason, again, that they even walked out of there with a point. So, not going to get those too often from Ben Sherratt, obviously, so we'll take him when we can. And in this one, and like I said, it gets you a point.
Yeah, Moritz Seider and Ben Sherratt. It's been a tough go for him of late. I think that one of my friends told me that they had gone 8 games without a point at 5-on-5. So with them on the ice, like let me restate that. I want to be accurate. I don't think they've been on the ice for a 5-on-5 goal period, not even a point, a 5-on-5 goal period in about the last 8 games. So it's been a rough go for them offensively, not to really any fault of their own. Ben Sherratt hasn't been great, and Seider, I think, has been holding himself well, but, I'm incredibly biased towards Moritz Seider. So it was great to see them get not just a goal when they're on the ice, but actually score a goal themselves. And what do you know? The one time they get to the high danger areas, they scored a goal on Samuel Ersson. It looked like, for a second, I thought Marco Kasper was going to steal another one, because for a second I thought that went off his stick in front, but it did not. It went underneath his stick and off the post and in. But, I mean, yeah, that's a high note. Another high note, Elmer Soderblom, right, recalled from Grand Rapids, filling in for Joe Veleno. We haven't seen Elmer Soderblom since 2 seasons ago when he played 21 games, so he's still technically a rookie. He fills in for Joe Veleno, who got healthy scratched. He's had a rough couple games, and Tom McClellan talked about it. He says just as important as the Grand Rapids is as a relief system, it's very important to reward players when they're playing well, and he's had 9 points in his last 10 games down there. He looks, and we talked about it with Andrew. Check out yesterday's episode. We talked about Elmer Soderblom with Andrew, so it was really well timed.
Timing for us, for sure.
And honestly, Scott, he looked really good in this hockey game. I honest to God think that fourth line was buzzing the entire night, and I don't know if it was just the injection of Soderblom, if they got reamed by the coach between, but Michael Rasmussen centered, and that fourth line was all over the place all game long up until minutes got a little short late in the third period, and they started icing the top 6 a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's easily one of the most notable performances and one of the biggest takeaways period from this hockey game is how good the fourth line looked. And when we talked about Elmer yesterday, I think we covered a lot of ground for like his style of play and what he's been looking like this year and what we can kind of expect out of him the rest of the way. But like you always see flashes, and you always see like the intangibles of and the positives of having such a big body out there. I mean, there was a point in this game where they were sending Elmer out there with Patrick Kane, and they were like, just go wreak havoc in front of the net, just be giant and go make stuff happen in front of the net, and then we'll put some really good perimeter guys out there like Showtime, and we're going to see if that can produce anything. And of course it didn't, but the fact that he is out there in different situations in his first game of the season and his first game in a couple of seasons at the NHL level, I think is really telling of kind of how the organization feels about him. Like Veleno, listed on the report was healthy, right? And like it is that whole situation's wild. We can kind of break that down.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting top line minutes when McClellan first came in. But
The
that's
tone shift.
Heck of a 2 weeks for Joey V, unfortunately. But I think that the fact that Elmer is already being put into different situations and they're talking about his skating and his physicality pregame, all the coaches are talking about how much he's improved in that area. I think it was a really solid, like I said, he had one of the only high danger opportunities in the game. At the start of the show, I mentioned that he had a nice shot early in the first period. So I think that I would like to see more out of him. I'm not sure he's ever going to be that like top end, as Ronaldo put it yesterday, like X Factor type of player. But if he can be, like a solid body down there in the bottom six and kind of wreak havoc and make stuff happen like he did in this game, I think that'll go a long way.
Well, and one of the things that he and Max Bultman, who recently visited Grand Rapids and wrote an article about his time there and checked in on Soderblom as well, one of the things that both of those guys brought up, Andrew and Max, was that he's skating harder. Like he's skating more aggressively. He's more aggressive on the forecheck and on the back check, and that really showed in this hockey game. Like that was why the fourth line was buzzing, and it wasn't just him. Obviously, Rasmussen and Christian Fischer were doing a lot of heavy lifting too in the offensive and defensive zone when it came to the fore and back checking, but he was skating the entire time. And for guys of his caliber, guys of his size rather, that can be really difficult to do. It's hard to get deep in your stance and really go the whole time. So give him a lot of credit. And it resulted in some huge he had one of the only good chances, probably the only good chance for the Wings in the first period. But then also
looked good
late in the third, Scotty, when the Red Wings were getting hemmed in and they were tired and they needed a break, it was his giant reach that was able to poke the puck off the defender at the blue line, clear the puck so the Red Wings could get a change. So I absolutely think that this should be more than a one-game experiment. I think he's earned a second game despite the loss. I don't think he was, if anything, his whole line was a net positive. In fact, statistically speaking, they were also a net positive, so that backs up what we were talking about. They were the best line on the ice according to a natural stat trick. Michael Rasmussen had a Corsi for percentage of 66%. Elmer Soderblom had expected goals percentage, Corsi for of 65.22. These are two guys that when they were out there, they were winning puck battles. They were possessing the puck. And that's the type of stuff you need out of the bottom six. On the other hand, this third line is brutal. This third line with JT Comfort, Tarasenko, and Jonathan Berggren can't get anything going. And Berggren's the only one who has been contributing on the ice, but that's just even those are one-offs, like power play goal, 2 breakaways. You can't count on that every single game. As a line, they cannot produce. And you saw JT Comfort get absolutely walked in the defensive zone, leading to the one regulation goal that they scored.
Yeah, and I thought Tarasenko was kind of all over the place, not in a good way either. He was out there for overtime for a little bit too, and just didn't do anything. Was not present in the play really at any point. And that kind of was the theme of the night. I mean, we can have a bigger picture conversation about that signing, but I mean, again, we've already had several on the season. It obviously hasn't gone very well for the Wings or for Vlad so far. And I don't know, they're just gonna have to keep line shuffling,
right?
But it almost feels like it's just even if something does work and they do find a line combination that works for the middle six, you're just going to be in a position where, okay, it's going to work for a little bit. You're going to win some games and then it's going to stop working again. You're going to have to just shuffle it again. I have zero confidence that they're going to find a solution to that really this year.
Another thing they're not going to find a solution for this year is their second line center problem, because they do not have one. Andrew Kopp, God bless him, he's trying his best, but he cannot be the 2C. Neither can JT Comfort. They swung and missed 2 years in a row on a genuine 2C in free agency. And Kopp,
you're really just praying that Casper develops into that caliber
or Danielson,
player, which is right. Danielson for the long term too, but I guess I meant just players on the roster this year.
I think I texted you, I won't tweeted you. I texted you, Scotty, and said I'm going to get. Kopp couldn't finish the chance or whatever I said tattooed on my chest, because every single time he's in with a beautiful opportunity, he just cannot finish. He has no touch. He had a breakaway a couple weeks ago, and I remember thinking to myself when he had the breakaway, I was like, oh, he's not going to score. And he didn't. He just shot it right in the pads. And then in this one, with less than a minute left, the puck on his stick, nobody around him, just him and Samuel Urson out front, he just whiffs on his own stick handling and tries to just jam it through the 5-hole. He just has... Imagine a bona fide 2C with Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane. Like a genuine bona fide 2C. Oh, my goodness. I just... And I don't even want this to come off across as Andrew Kopp hate. They just need a better 2C. They just need a better 2C.
Yeah. I don't think that's hate. Yeah. Yes, they do.
Like, how are you playing on a line with Andrew Kopp or Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane, and you can't produce offense, especially when they're getting offensive zone deployments almost exclusively? Whatever. I don't want to turn this into Andrew Kopp slander. But I think it's fair to call out that he has not been productive as their center with two highly productive scoring forwards on either side of him.
Yeah, man. I mean that play at the end of the game was
pretty rough.
It's brutal.
So let's go ahead to segment 3. When we return, we'll finish up with notable performers. I want to talk about the top line and the second pair, so stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. What's up, buddy? You're muted.
Hello? Oh, there
Yeah,
we
hi.
go. That was
Doofus.
wild, dude.
I don't know what
the
you're
NFL.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Notable performers, buddy. What else you got?
We could talk about the top line in this game. I don't know if we've had that conversation really in full yet. I think this is what comes with a lack of depth scoring as a whole, right? And this is what happens when your bottom 9 are consistently not producing. Is it's like, okay, well, now the top line has kind of the weight of the entire game and all the production on their shoulders, and they know that. And so it's kind of in the back of everybody's mind of like, okay, well, if the top line isn't going to score and the power play is not going to score, then we're probably not going to score. And the Wings were not on the power play a single time this game, and barely any other line got any consistent opportunities. So the first line was just absolutely, I'm not sure I've ever watched a game where buzzing was a negative, but this might have been the one case. They were all over the place, dude. Like it was I would say controlled chaos, but it was barely even that. It was truly just, I mean, Larkin was all over the place. I don't know. It just didn't seem like there was any structure to what they were doing at all. It was just absolutely trying to spin and go a million miles an hour, and it did not work.
Well, and it's weird too, because they simultaneously had a rough game, but also they were the only line that was actually being productive. I say that very conservatively, because I don't know, they were generating the most shot attempts. They were possessing the puck fairly well, but again, it was still more a lot of along the rim. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, they were buzzing. They were all over the place. They were trying to do too much. Raymond and Larkin in particular had a couple of times where they just tried to dance by a guy instead of making the smart, simple play. And it resulted in a turnover when they had some momentum going. They settled down significantly in the third period, and that's when they scored. They helped score the goal. Raymond and Larkin assisted on Sherratt's goal. They had a few opportunities, especially, again, late in the third period. I think it was Raymond fed Kopp out front. So, I mean, they had opportunities. The third period, they definitely settled it down, but they were trying to do way too much in the first two periods. So, and it's one of those things where if they had been settled down from the start, you combine then your more composed approach to the game with the fact that they were carrying the puck more often than not when they were on the ice, you might have had a couple of extra goals. But I'm not trying to put the burden of the game on entirely on their shoulders. Again, like this lack of offense goes very deep, and the defense too, right? Like, we talked about it. They gave up 17 high danger opportunities. That's not on just the defense. That's on how the whole team plays defense. You can't give up 17 high danger shots. I mean, look at this heat map, Scotty. It's egregious.
It's hilarious, though.
Yeah, and it looks a little bit better.
You texted it to me during the game, and you were like, look how funny this is.
It looks better now, but it's still not great. Like, this is better than what we saw.
Yeah, well, that little blue circle in front of the net didn't exist after the second period. So
that's probably nice. Like Ben Sherratt's goal.
Right.
Ben Sherratt and Andrew Kopp. Those are the two opportunities.
Yeah, dude. We haven't done a heat map check in a while. That's brutal.
But after the second period, like this little blue dot in front of the Flyers net wasn't there. But meanwhile, look at what the Flyers heat map. It's all down low. They collapse on the net.
All high danger, yeah.
The Red Wings are like the opposite in the defensive zone of what the Philadelphia Flyers were doing to us. Instead of keeping everything on the perimeter, they were letting everything to the slot. And they just, the inability to tie guys up, lift sticks, and push them out, it was driving me nuts all game. So offensively, they couldn't get to the slot. Defensively, they couldn't keep them out of the slot. So it's a miracle it went to overtime. Thank you, Alex Lyon.
Correct. Yeah.
But
completely mirrored sentiment for sure.
But at the same time, like, there was a lot of effort in this game. It just didn't feel like it was very composed, or it didn't feel like it was really going anywhere. Like, they were forechecking hard, they were skating hard, they were outshooting their opponent. Like, the energy was there. Their energy, like, they clearly were motivated to win this hockey game, and that I appreciate. That's a good sign after those back-to-back blowout losses. But they're just struggling to create right now. Like, it feels like they're out there skating hard to skate hard rather than actually thinking about the plays that they're about to make. It's like the pendulum swings too far the other way. Either they're trying to make everything too pretty and they're sloppy, a la the San Jose game, or they're just skating hard for the sake of skating hard. Like, they have to find that happy medium where you're forechecking and backchecking hard, but you're thinking about the plays you're going to make. And just tonight's game, I didn't really feel like they had that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all, man. There was a stunning lack of even just like consistent possession in the offensive zone. Like, they didn't even give themselves a chance to like set up shop and try to make something happen. It was not good. And that's clearly not going to be a sustainable way to win hockey games if it continues going forward. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought the second pair looked good. Edvinsson had a couple nice plays. Albert Johansson's getting confidence from the blue line. He's shooting the puck a lot more.
Yeah, I thought Edvinsson looked good.
Yeah, Seider played another 27 and a half minutes in this hockey game, so shout out Moritz Seider for being just the tank on the back end. But that's all I got. Good effort, me too, not good results.
Yeah, me too. This is, you tip your cap to Ben Sherratt on the snipe celly and Lyon for being on his head, and you walk out of there with a point that you probably didn't even deserve to get, and we finally get off the road. Team gets back home. Hopefully we can, set up shop and start winning again. We'll obviously preview that game tomorrow. So
absolutely. So, Scotty, final thoughts.
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.